Avoid these cruise ship cabins in 2026. What experienced travelers know. One small cabin choice can quietly cost you sleep, comfort, and enjoyment for an entire cruise. Later in this video, I'll explain the one cabin location that experienced cruisers refuse to book, no matter how cheap the deal looks. And I cover cruise mistakes like this every week on this channel. Before we get into specifics, understand this. Some of the worst cabins on a ship are directly beneath the most popular areas. 1. Cabins under the pool deck. It's midnight, and just as you drift to sleep, something scrapes loudly above your ceiling. What you're hearing isn't a mystery. It's deck chairs being dragged, pool loungers stacked, and crew washing the deck inches above your head. On cruise ships, sound travels downward through steel far more efficiently than people expect, especially from open recreational areas. The result? Interrupted sleep, sudden jolts awake, and mornings that start long before you want them to. Here's the real-world impact. Poor sleep compounds quickly on a cruise. One bad night becomes irritability. 2 nights become exhaustion. By day 4, guests often skip excursions just to nap. That's not relaxation. That's recovery. And here's the part most booking sites won't mention. Even quiet hours don't apply to crew operations. Cleaning, resetting furniture, and early morning pool prep begin as early as 5:30 a.m. every single day. Seasoned cruisers quietly avoid any cabin directly beneath pools, sports courts, buffet seating, or outdoor bars, especially on ships built after 2010 where open-deck concepts increased overhead noise. 2 facts matter here. Sound travels downward more than sideways, and pools are cleaned daily. Bad combination. When booking, choose cabins with other cabins above them. If the deck above is labeled Lido, Resort, or Sun, keep scrolling. Sleep is the luxury. 2. Cabins next to elevators. What if the most convenient cabin location turned out to be the loudest mistake on the ship? Cabins near elevators look perfect on deck plans. Central, accessible, and easy to find. But what those diagrams don't show is the non-stop rhythm of human traffic. Rolling suitcases, late-night conversations, crew carts, elevator chimes, and doors opening every few minutes, day and night. The real-world consequence isn't just noise, it's unpredictable noise. Your brain can't tune it out because it never follows a pattern. 1 minute it's silence, the next laughter at 1 a.m. Then footsteps at 5:45 a.m., guests in these cabins report more micro-awakenings than those near engines or aft vibration zones. That's counterintuitive, but true. Cruise lines know this, which is why elevator-adjacent cabins are often bundled into promotions or assigned as guarantee placements. 2 facts matter here. Elevators never sleep, and foot traffic multiplies on sea days. Convenience becomes chaos. There's also a subtle psychological cost. Feeling watched. Hearing strangers linger outside your door. Losing that sense of retreat that a cabin is supposed to provide. Over a week-long sailing, that mental drain matters more than most people expect. Aim for cabins at least 5 to 7 doors away from elevators and stairwells. Still central, but shielded. You'll walk an extra 30 seconds. You'll sleep hours better. That's a trade worth making. Next, let's talk about a cabin feature that looks harmless on paper, but causes more noise complaints than people realize. 3. Connecting door cabins. A locked door doesn't mean privacy when the wall itself becomes a speaker. Connecting cabins are marketed as flexible, great for families, convenient for groups, but when you're not using both sides, that extra door quietly becomes a sound tunnel. Voices, televisions, alarms, even bathroom noises pass through far more clearly than through a standard wall. Here's the real-world impact most first-time cruisers don't expect. You're no longer dealing with ambient ship noise. You're dealing with specific people, their schedule, their habits, their volume. If they wake early, you wake early. If they stay up late, you stay up late. And unlike hallway noise, this sound feels personal because it is. Cruise veterans know this well, which is why connecting cabins are among the most commonly reassigned rooms for guarantee bookings. 2 facts matter here, Si. Connecting doors are thinner than standard walls, and sound travels through air gaps faster than steel. That combination defeats even good insulation. There's also a psychological effect. Even when quiet, guests report feeling less secure, like someone could enter at any moment even though the door is locked. Over several nights, that unease chips away at relaxation. Unless you are traveling with the other side of that door, avoid connecting cabins entirely. When booking, explicitly request no connecting door, and double-check the deck plan symbols. Silence is intentional, not accidental. 4. Lowest deck cabins near engines. If a cabin price looks unusually good, ask yourself why. On many ships, the lowest passenger decks sit directly above engine rooms, propulsion systems, and stabilization machinery. While modern ships are quieter than ever, physics hasn't changed. Vibrations rise, low-frequency noise carries, and on rough seas, motion is amplified closer to the ship's working core. The real-world effect isn't always dramatic, but it's relentless. Individually, each feels minor. Together, they wear you down. Guests often describe it as never fully resting, even after 8 hours in bed. Cruise lines know these cabins are harder to sell, which is why they're frequently discounted or bundled. 2 facts matter here. Engines run constantly at sea, and low-frequency noise bypasses standard soundproofing. You don't hear it, you feel it. There's also motion to consider. While midship cabins reduce side-to-side sway, lower decks increase vertical vibration, especially on older ships or during overnight repositioning. That's when sleep quality takes the biggest hit. If booking a lower deck, choose midship cabins buffered by other cabins above and below. Avoid anything directly over machinery spaces. Saving money is good, but only if you can actually rest. Now we move to cabins that look luxurious, but behave very differently once the ship starts moving. 5. Forward-facing cabins, the bow. The view was breathtaking until the sea changed. Forward-facing cabins at the bow promise dramatic ocean panoramas and a sense of exclusivity. But what many travelers don't realize is that the front of the ship experiences the most motion. Every wave is met head-on, and that impact travels straight through the hull into your room. In calm seas, it's magical. In rougher conditions, or even moderate swells, it's exhausting. Guests often report waking up repeatedly as the ship rises and falls, especially overnight when the vessel is moving at higher speeds. The motion isn't side to side, it's vertical. That's the kind your body struggles to adapt to. 2 facts explain why this matters. The bow meets waves first, and vertical motion disrupts sleep more than lateral sway. Even travelers who never get seasick can feel it here. And once sleep quality drops, everything else follows. Mood, patience, enjoyment. There's also wind noise to consider. At higher speeds, air rushing over the bow creates a constant low roar, especially noticeable in balcony cabins. It's not loud, but it's persistent. If you love views but value rest, choose forward cabins only on lower speeds or short itineraries. For longer cruises, aim midship. You'll still see the ocean, without fighting it all night. 6. Aft cabins above the wake. The calmest view often comes with the strongest vibration. Aft cabins, especially those overlooking the ship's wake, are beloved for their sweeping panoramas and quieter foot traffic. But directly beneath that beauty are massive propulsion systems, working constantly to push thousands of tons of steel forward. The real-world impact shows up in subtle ways. A low hum during cruising, a rhythmic vibration at night, a faint tremor during speed changes. Individually, each feels manageable. Together, they can make deep sleep harder to reach, especially for light sleepers. 2 facts matter here. Propellers sit directly below aft cabins, and vibration travels upward through the ship's frame. Even on newer ships with the improved dampening, that physical feedback can't be eliminated, only reduced. There's also a timing issue. Aft vibration is most noticeable overnight, when the ship travels fastest and background noise drops. That's when guests expect the deepest rest, and when this cabin choice works against them. If booking aft, choose cabins higher up and farther from the exact stern. Avoid decks directly above propulsion zones. The view is still stunning, but your sleep won't pay the price. This next category surprises even frequent cruisers because the problem isn't loud noise, it's something harder to escape. 7. Cabins above or below nightclubs and theaters. At 11:47 p.m., the bass hits, not loudly, but relentlessly. Cabins located directly above or below nightclubs, theaters, or large entertainment venues suffer from a unique kind of noise pollution. It's not voices. It's not footsteps. It's low-frequency vibration that travels through steel, mattresses, and even your chest. Here's the real-world impact. Bass doesn't fade the way sound does. Even with earplugs, guests describe feeling the music rather than hearing it. That vibration syncs with your heartbeat, making it nearly impossible to relax. And unlike a party next door, you can't ask a ship-wide sound system to turn it down. Two facts make this worse than most people expect. Low-frequency sound travels farther than high-frequency noise, and cruise entertainment often runs later on sea days. Shows end. Dance floors don't. On newer ships with enhanced audio systems, the problem has actually intensified, not improved. Many travelers assume noise stops by midnight. In reality, cleanup crews, rehearsals, and sound checks can continue well past that. Complaints are common. Room changes are rare. Never book cabins directly above or below theaters, lounges, comedy clubs, or nightclubs. Use deck plans to check 2 decks in each direction. Silence is engineered. Noise is accidental. Quick note. If you want to avoid booking mistakes like this, I post weekly videos breaking down cruise cabins, hidden downsides, and changes experienced travelers know to watch for. That's what this channel is here for. 8. Obstructed view cabins. You didn't book an ocean view, you booked a compromised. Obstructed view cabins are often pitched as a smart middle ground, natural light at a lower price. But what most travelers don't realize is how obstructed those views can be. Lifeboats, steel supports, maintenance platforms, sometimes filling more than half the window. The real-world impact is psychological as much as visual. Guests expect a connection to the sea, but instead feel boxed in. Daylight still enters, but the sense of openness doesn't. That disappointment tends to surface quietly on day 2 or 3 once the novelty of the ship wears off. 2 facts explain the regret rate. Obstructions are rarely shown accurately online, and the worst ones are often placed in higher-demand midship locations. You think you're being strategic, when you're actually trading the entire point of a window. There's also a privacy issue. Lifeboat walkways sometimes pass directly outside these windows, meaning curtains stay closed more often than expected. At that point, you're paying extra for a feature you barely use. If you want light, consider newer interior cabins with virtual windows. If you want views, skip obstructed categories entirely. Half a view feels worse than none. Not all cabin problems are obvious on day 1. Some only show up after your body has had a few days at sea. 9. Interior cabins without virtual windows. What happens to your body clock when it never sees daylight? Traditional interior cabins save money, but on longer cruises, that savings can come at a hidden cost. Without windows or virtual displays, your sense of time slowly dissolves. Guests nap too long, stay up too late, wake disoriented. The real-world impact builds quietly. Appetite shifts, energy drops, mood follows. It's not dramatic, but it's noticeable, especially after 4 or 5 days. That's why many cruisers say interior cabins are fine for weekend sailings, but draining on week-long trips. 2 facts matter here. Natural light anchors circadian rhythm, and cruise ships already disrupt time cues with sea days and late nights. Remove windows entirely, and your body loses its reference point. Newer ships have addressed this with virtual balconies and simulated daylight cycles, and the difference is real. Guests report better sleep and orientation, even without actual windows. If booking interior, choose ships with virtual windows or skylight-adjacent layouts. Otherwise, limit windowless cabins to short itineraries. Your energy is part of the vacation. 10. Cabins near crew service corridors. While passengers sleep, the ship is wide awake. Cabins located near crew-only service corridors, often hidden behind unmarked doors, experience a level of activity most guests never expect. Supply carts roll through, doors open and close, radios crackle. Maintenance happens quietly but constantly. The real-world impact is subtle at first. A cart rolling by at 6 a.m. A door slam at midnight. A conversation muffled but unmistakable. Over several nights, those interruptions accumulate, especially because they don't follow guest schedules. Crew work hours aren't aligned with vacation hours. 2 facts explain why this catches people off guard. Crew corridors operate 24/7, and soundproofing prioritizes guest-to-guest noise, not service areas. Booking maps rarely label these spaces clearly, so guests don't realize what's behind the wall. This problem is most common near housekeeping hubs, galley access points, and technical rooms, often midship where travelers assume conditions are ideal. That makes the disappointment sharper. When choosing a cabin, avoid rooms near blank sections on deck plans or doors marked crew only. If a wall doesn't back onto another cabin, ask what does. Quiet has a layout. This next type divides travelers sharply. Some love it, others say they'd never book it again. 11. Promenade-facing cabins. Would you still relax if strangers could look straight into your room? Promenade-facing cabins, especially on ships with indoor boardwalks or shopping streets, offer people-watching views and natural light. But they come with a trade-off most guests don't anticipate. Privacy disappears. The real-world impact becomes clear quickly. Curtains stay closed far more often than expected. Voices echo upward, late into the night. Music, laughter, announcements, it all funnels directly into your cabin. What felt lively at booking starts to feel intrusive by day 2. 2 facts matter here. Promenade areas are active nearly all day, and interior-facing sound reflects rather than dissipates. Unlike ocean-facing cabins, there's no open air to absorb noise. There's also the psychological side. Guests report feeling on display, even when no one is actively looking. That constant awareness reduces the sense of retreat a cabin should provide, especially on longer sailings. Promenade cabins work best for short cruises or heavy sleepers. For week-long trips, prioritize outward-facing cabins or higher decks. Privacy is part of relaxation. 12. Guarantee cabins. The deal felt smart, until the room assignment arrived. Guarantee cabins promise savings by letting the cruise line choose your exact location. On paper, it sounds harmless. In reality, it often means you're filling the spaces others deliberately avoided. The real-world impact is uncertainty, and it lingers. You don't know your deck, your neighbors, or what's above or below you until close to sailing. By then, options are limited. If the cabin has noise issues, odd layouts, or poor placement, there's rarely flexibility to change. 2 facts explain why guarantee cabins disappoint so often. Cruise lines use them to balance inventory, and undesirable locations clear last. That doesn't mean every guarantee cabin is bad, but it does mean you're accepting risk without fully understanding it. For experienced cruisers who know ship layouts and don't mind surprises, guarantees can work. For everyone else, that gamble can quietly shape the entire trip, for better or worse. If you value sleep, location, or predictability, skip guarantee cabins. Choose your room intentionally. Saving a few $100s isn't worth 7 compromised nights. Finally, let's talk about the cabin category most people assume is a safe bet, and why that assumption can quietly backfire. 13. The cabin everyone thinks is safe. Midship balcony cabins sound perfect until you zoom out. They're marketed as the safest choice. Balanced motion, central location, premium feel, and structurally they often are stable. But what many travelers overlook is what surrounds them. The real-world impact depends on context. Midship areas are often stacked with high traffic zones, elevators, service corridors, dining venues, and entertainment spaces. That means more foot traffic, more incidental noise, and less of the quiet retreat people expect at this price point. 2 facts explain the regret. Midship cabins sell fastest, and high-demand areas attract activity. So while motion may be reduced, stimulation is increased. For light sleepers or introverted travelers, that trade-off becomes obvious by mid-cruise. This doesn't mean midship balconies are bad, it means they're misunderstood. The right midship cabin, buffered by other cabins and away from public spaces, can be excellent. The wrong one feels busy despite the premium price. Don't assume midship equals quiet. Always check what's above, below, and beside your cabin. Balance matters more than labels. The wrong cruise cabin doesn't just cost you sleep, it quietly reshapes your entire vacation. Energy drops. Patience thins. Small annoyances feel bigger than they should. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already unpacked and days from port. Here's the good news. Almost every cabin problem you've heard today is predictable. Noise follows activity, motion follows physics, fatigue follows poor sleep. Once you understand those patterns, you stop guessing and start choosing intentionally. Avoid just one of these cabin mistakes, and your cruise improves dramatically. Avoid several, and the ship starts working for you instead of against you. That's the difference seasoned cruisers rarely explain, but always use. If this video helped you avoid even one cruise cabin you would have regretted, this channel is for you. I post weekly videos breaking down cruise cabins, booking mistakes, and changes experienced travelers know to watch for, so you book with confidence, not guesswork. This video is for informational purposes only. It is not professional travel, medical, or financial advice. Always consult qualified experts before making decisions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.